plant-based since 1974 and psychiatrist. But I do treat all kinds of people. So I have a young man, 44 years old, who came down with a terrible case of cirrhosis, mostly alcohol due, but he's sober now over a year. And I got him to be plant-based over 1 year. And everything looks good. And there is a question to you, is in your experience, or have you heard of any cirrhosis reversal?
Wow. Well, that's a great question. And, of course, I don't treat liver disease patients. So I don't have a great amount of experience with this. So I don't know if I'm going to give you the best answer, but I would say that we know fatty liver can cause cirrhosis. Fatty liver is predominantly dietary related, especially in uncontrolled diabetics, patients with high triglycerides. Fatty liver is at least thought to be partially reversible through the proper dietary changes and weight loss, including a plant-based diet. But alcoholic liver disease, I actually don't know of any studies or any published data that shows that alcoholic liver disease is reversible through lifestyle changes. They always say the liver is an amazing organ, that it has some crazy natural way of being able to regenerate and such. But my experience, I don't really haven't had that experience where somebody with alcoholic cirrhosis has been able to reverse it through dietary changes. I've seen kidney disease reverse. I've seen autoimmune diseases reverse for sure. And I think I've seen, it's harder to know, early cognitive impairment, early stage Alzheimer's, improve, stabilize, even reverse, all that's more challenging. But liver disease from alcoholic cirrhosis or full out cirrhosis, I haven't seen it. I've seen fatty liver, not causing cirrhosis, but just fatty liver itself. I've seen that go away.
Thank you, doctor. We appreciate your candor on that. I'm going to move on now to Dr. Linda. I'm going to unmute. Actually, Doctor, I'm going to ask you to unmute. If you can unmute yourself. Let's see if that worked. And there we are. Hi, Dr. Linda.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so I'm 55-year-old African-American female, lupus, 3 brain aneurysms, 3 successful brain surgeries, hypertension under control with Norvasc, dead pituitary gland, presently about 115 pounds overweight, total cholesterol 230, LDL 143. And so my question is, I want to reverse lupus, I want to lose weight, and I want to have overall awesome health. How do I get started on this wonderful plant-based diet? Because I'm in Mississippi where they don't have nothing but killer food.
I love your energy. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm.
All right. Thank you.
And whenever I hear that, and I hear that excitement in a person's voice, I automatically have a high degree of confidence that you're going to be successful. The fact that you're here watching a talk like this, you've thought this through, you've made the decision, and most of the time making the decision to make the change is the most important thing to do. But you're right, execution is a big challenge. What I would say is education, learn. And that's what you're doing here is super important. But the other things, it's not just learning the science behind why it works. That's very helpful. And knowing that helps to keep you motivated. But it's making sure that you're set up in your home environment to be successful, making sure that everybody else in your household understands your desire, your health situation, and they need to be on board too. Whether they do it completely with you or not, or just support you, keep the processed foods out of the house, keep the animal foods as far away as possible, and then have them, cook some stuff with you and just learn it together. That's always a big, huge thing to do, because if you go home and there's unhealthy food there, it's ultimately stress is going to hit you, willpower will fail. You need to set up your lifestyle, your home environment. It's got to be a complete lifestyle change. I would say in regards to education, Dr. Brooke Goldner wrote a great book called Goodbye Lupus that you can check out. I've met her before. She's very passionate. There's a documentary, Eating You Alive, where she tells her story, eatingyoualive.com. It's lupus is indeed very much could be treated through plant-based diet and lifestyle changes. in regards to your cardiovascular risk with those cholesterol numbers, yeah, you're higher than the average American with that LDL cholesterol. So you're going to be, especially over time, the longer you have those LDL cholesterols up, the higher the risk is going to be. So honestly, each person's different. Your question came down to, how do I do this? Where do I start? And I gave you some tips, but one of the other things I tell patients frequently is just start eating plant-based. You don't think, I can't have this, I can't have that. What about this, that, whatever. If you're using only willpower, that's not the right approach. Keep educating yourself, keep trying to set up your environment the right way, but just find some recipes and start making them and just start eating them. And if you start eating more unprocessed plant-based foods by default, you'll be eating less processed foods and less animal-based foods. And again, like I said, towards the end of my talk, if I have a patient that's very highly motivated that knows they need to get rid of the animal foods and processed foods from the diet, particularly animal foods, watch The Dominion on YouTube. Once you see what happens in animals, you can't unsee it. There's also another good documentary that is on Tubi TV called The Invisible Vegan, which is all about being vegan in the African-American community. And it's really great. It's really well done. And, in regards to hypertension, watch some videos of Dr. Kim Williams. That guy inspires me over and over again. He's an African-American cardiologist, past president of the ACC, so genuine, so smart. He could perhaps motivate you and inspire you as well. Find local support groups. There are almost everywhere you're in Mississippi. I know it's probably not as many plant-based people local to you, but there are online support groups. The Facebook group for Forks Over Knives is phenomenal. I don't forget how many, there's hundreds of thousands of people on there. They'll help you out. Ask a simple question. How do I give up cheese? How do I do this? How do you make this taste good? You'll get like hundreds of responses. It's just such a great community. And in regards to other resources, pbnm.org, click on resources. There's food delivery services, podcasts, there's vacations you could take, like go on a cruise where it's all plant-based, you have no choice. Think about if you have the resources, going to True North Health Center or doing a live-in program to get you going and get you educated. But don't give up. Don't give up. I could tell by the enthusiasm that you have and the fact that you're here, you're going to do it. And I have confidence that you'll do it.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That's really, really meaningful. Up next, we've got Juliet W. Juliet, I'm going to unmute you now. Welcome, Juliet.
Hi. I was told that I have high lipoprotein A and B, and I'm mostly plant-based. I have Hashimoto's, so sometimes I use some collagen protein. I don't know. Do I have to give up eating nuts and avocado olives completely with the high lipoprotein A and B?
Yeah, what's your LDL?
It is, let me see, my last test is 145.
Yeah, that's kind of high. That's kind of high. So what I would say is, first of all, most of heart disease can be summed up with the LDL cholesterol and the endothelial injury. But the nuances of the lipoprotein little a, lipoprotein B, these other things, they're important and they should be thought about. If they're elevated, it's going to increase your risk. Lipoprotein little a is a challenge. Dr. Baxter Montgomery did a good trial of patients with elevated lipoprotein little a, putting them on a plant-based diet and measuring the change. It reduced it by 15% in about a month or two, which is okay. But if the lipoprotein little a is 300 and we like it less than 75, 15% reduction is not going to get you there. 15% reduction will get you down to like, 250 or so, but not down to that less than 75. It's the same thing with niacin. Niacin isn't recommended, but it does lower lipoprotein little a little bit. But the reason it's not recommended in those patients is that it doesn't lower it profoundly enough to make a significant impact on cardiovascular disease risk. Right now, we don't have any great therapy for elevated lipoprotein little a. What we tell people is focus on the LDL, don't smoke, eat healthy, exercise, and protect your endothelium at all costs, and just do everything else that you could possibly do And if you can do everything else the right way, then hopefully you're going to be in good shape in the long run. So I would say work on getting the LDL down by reducing cholesterol and saturated fat. I am not aware of any science either about collagen and Hashimoto's. I just had to say that. I'm pretty sure that's not something that's recommended by any scientific study or any major organization, but I may be wrong. I'm not an endocrinologist. It's focused on the LDL, focused on protecting your endothelium, and by asking about the avocados and other plant-based foods, reducing them will reduce your LDL a little bit, but just make sure there's no animal foods, no refined oils, and hopefully things will be okay.